Morning, all. All right, so starting things off today with a look at the Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus is a team that has made significant changes since the end of the season. I think we're going to see potentially more changes, and I say potentially because they still have some cap space there. $3,954,167 according to Cap Friendly. They were a team that went from 81 points in 2021-2022, which was considered disappointing that season, to 59 this past season. So they'll be looking to bounce back to at least a 500 record, likely looking for better than that. But their goal scoring and goals against both towards the bottom of the league. 30th in goals for, 31st in goals against. You do not make the playoffs if you cannot score and you can't keep the puck out of your net. It just doesn't work that way. So for Columbus, they'll be looking for bounce backs from players. They'll be looking for a better health record from their blue line and probably some better goaltending than what we've seen the last couple of seasons as well. So we'll start with the forward group, as I have been doing with these videos, starting with Johnny Gaudreau. Gaudreau's first season in Columbus, nowhere near what he was in Calgary. I had expected his points total to drop, but 21 goals, 53 assists for 74 points doesn't get it done. That being said, he's with a new team, getting used to line mates, teammates. Not everybody, with a brand new team does really, really well out of the gate. This season, I think, will be more indicative. If he struggles again to score near a point per game, if he ends up in the 70-point range, we might have another conversation to have about Gaudreau at the end of the season. But that being said, he's still very, very much likely to get those first-line minutes. Kent Johnson right behind him, a number 5 pick in 2021. A big part of the future for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I like Johnson. I think he's got a really strong game. Bemstrom, it feels like, had a bit of a bounce back from previous seasons. The talent's there with Bemstrom. It's always a matter of that consistency in his game. Eric Robinson there, he's on a final year of a contract. He will be an unrestricted free agent next summer. And Texier returns. So Texier spent a year away from the National Hockey League. He has signed. He will return. May very well push Robinson down the list. Liam Foudy, I thought, had a decent season as well as a bottom 6 guy. Number 18 pick in 2018. He'll never put up the kinds of numbers you'd associate with a first-round pick, I don't think. But if Foudy can continue with the strong work ethic, he will still get called up for some games this year. And then there's Brendan Gaunce. So if you're a Canucks fan going, where's Gaunce? And I don't know any Canuck fans that are, but there he is. He's a UFA next summer as well. I have nothing but respect for Gaunce because he continues to play. And even though the NHL dream as a regular in the NHL never worked out for him, he's still playing in North America and he still plays well when he gets called up. Down the middle, it will be interesting to see if Fantilli ends up getting that first line center spot, right? Fantilli, a number 3 pick this year and expected to be a star, right? So is he going to come in? Is he going to play with Gaudreau right out of the gate? Is he going to be between Gaudreau and Laine? We'll see, but they're going to give him every opportunity to succeed, even if that means playing him on the wing here and there, playing him down the middle, whatever you got to do, right? Sillinger, the number 12 pick in 2021, coming off of a nightmare season for him. So Sillinger's going to be looking to bounce back from that. He did play in the minors for a while, and we'll see if he does bounce back. He ideally is your third-line center, but if Corrali has to be the guy, he's shown he can play third-line center as well. And I'm not getting into which guys missed how many games, but I know a lot of their forwards missed a lot of games, along with, of course, the crippling injuries to the blue line. And then you've got McCowan. McCowan looked decent late in the season. We'll see if he cracks the opening of this season on the roster. You have Dunn. You have Putia, and you have Engel. So there's a lot of good players here. There's some good depth here. And, I'll be curious to see who ends up on their roster and who ends up on which line. On the right side, Laine only played 55 games this past season. And so they need Laine to be healthy for at least, I would say, 75 games this season. They're probably going to want about 30 goals out of Laine over that period. Although if he wants to score 40 and 50, the team will allow it. Marchenko came in and scored goals, 21 of them, but he only had 25 points as he only had 4 assists. I don't view this as Marchenko being greedy. I just view it that Marchenko had a better shot than his line mates. And so I'm not that surprised that he opted to shoot rather than pass often. But we'll see how things work out for him and if he ends up in that top 6, because you've got Roslovic there, Roslovic's in the final year of a contract himself, and so we'll see where Roslovic slots in. Keep in mind, Jack Roslovic can play down the middle. I think ideally you probably want him on the wing. You can never have too many centers, as I always say. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting top nine to see who ends up playing where. And again, if the young players play like we know they can, if let's just say Johnson, Fantilli, Marchenko does become the line, that could score you a lot of goals and probably be a pretty fast, exciting line to watch. You've got Olivier here, and then you've got Chinakhov. Chinakhov only played 30 games this past season. He was a number 21 pick in 2020. He's got the talent. He hasn't always had the puck luck at the National Hockey League level, but it's an interesting decision to be made about where's the best place for Chinakhov to play. Carson Meyer, you've got Fix Wolanski, and Danforth, who missed a large portion of this past season. He's in the final year of a contract, so he'll be looking to bounce back. I'm not sure where he fits in. And this is the thing. There are a lot of forwards here. There are a lot of good players who should have a spot on the roster, but will they? And that's where the question comes in. So maybe they'll be busy with the waiver wire. And then you get to the blue line. This is an insane blue line, really, to be honest, in terms of just the number of players who could play in the NHL this year. Starting with Zach Werenski, number 8 pick back in 2015. Only played 13 games this past season, so it's like he's missed the season, basically. And he will be paired with maybe Jiricek, maybe Severson. Severson, of course, added via trade with New Jersey. And so, yeah, he's signed a contract with the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll see how things go for him. Provorov added in a trade from the Philadelphia Flyers. And Jiricek's there, the number 6 pick in 2022. So if that ends up being their top 4, and it should be, it probably will be, that's not bad. And again, a lot of it would depend on Werenski bouncing back, how Severson gets played. You don't want to overplay Severson. One thing with his time in New Jersey is if he's deployed correctly, he can be a very good defenseman. If he's overplayed, his effectiveness drops. Which, again, that happens with a lot of defensemen and goaltenders, forwards, etc. Right? You got to play your players in the exact right spot. Goodbranson and Peak are there as well. Goodbranson's contract's expensive, sure, but for where Columbus is at, I don't think it's a big deal at this stage. Jake Bean was restricted only 14 games this past season. We'll see if he's healthy and ready to go and how many games he gets. Boquist is there as well. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if Boquist is traded before the season starts because he's a defenseman that I don't think would clear waivers, but I don't know that there's a spot for him on the blue line for Columbus, and he's young enough with enough offensive upside that I think teams would be interested if he was available. Blankenberg. I know Columbus fans like Blankenberg. Where's he going to play? Marcus Bjork, Tim Burney, who came up and played for them for a while last season. Sweezy's there. Sweezy's on the final year of a contract where he's UFA next summer. Svozil made his debut towards the end of the season. Probably ends up playing in the AHL, I would think. Nazco's there as well. Matejchuk, who was drafted 12th overall in 2022. And Kuhlmans, who was drafted 25th overall in 2021. This is a very deep blue line. There's some very interesting young prospects here. Like Matejchuk technically belongs on the left side, but I ran out of room. So this is a pretty deep blue line. Who's going to play, who's not, we'll see. But at the very least, it feels like what Jarmo's doing here is insulating Columbus so that if the injury bug bites them the way it did this past season, they are far more ready to handle it. At least that's how it looks right now. Again, we'll see how many of these players are still Columbus property once we get to September and training camp gets rolling. And then there's the goaltending. Goaltending, very curious to see how this goes. Merzlikins, who has been very good at points, last season was not. 876 save percentage for him this past year. His cap hit of $5.4 million extends till 2027. So it's a contract they couldn't trade if they were trying to. And Elvis had a really rough year. Can he bounce back? I think he can. I don't know that I would bet on him bouncing back. In general, I don't bet anyways. People know that about me. But yeah, Elvis has to get his save percentage up into at least the 895 range for Columbus to see market improvement, I would think. Tarasov, 892 save percentage. Not a great year for him either, but again, fresh slate. maybe Tarasov, maybe there's an opening there for Tarasov to end up being the starter. Jet Greaves will be plying his trade in the AHL, I would think, as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus goes out and gets a veteran goaltender for their number 3 spot, a Kincaid type, that kind of thing. Sort of like what, Louis Domingue's been for years. I could see them bringing in a goaltender like that just because I think they want Greaves to get that experience, and calling him up to ride the pine at the NHL level when somebody gets hurt, probably not the best place for him. So you sign that veteran goaltender that can come up and play that backup spot in the NHL if somebody gets hurt, and can, also mentor Greaves at the AHL level. At any rate, I do think Columbus is going to be interesting to watch this year, and hopefully they bounce back. Now, last summer, I thought they had a shot at making the playoffs. I was taking them to be one of the wild cards. I'm not going to go that far this year because 59 points is really tough to bounce back from. And there's a lot of work here that's been done over the last 12 months. And it kind of feels like we have to see how the chemistry works with all these players, whether you're adding young players here, just the additions on the blue line, and then, of course, the question marks with the goaltending. So there's a lot there that would have to drop their way in order for Columbus to be really and truly in the playoff hunt and maybe make the playoffs. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.